It's called, the
But
COVID look. It's the work from home COVID look.
yeah, between adopting that dog and I'm trying to get a fence put in now because
I know that dog is so cute.
oh my god, I gotta show you a new picture here soon. He fell asleep in my hand while I was petting him.
Oh. I hate any kind of stories of abused dogs. It's just awful.
I have all of my dogs.
Oh my god. Oh, you're a Mackie. You're a Mac user. Oh, thank God. Oh, that's amazing.
It's so cool.
All right, let me see if I can. My head is just way too large in this thing. It's freaking me out. Let me see if I can.
So I'm gonna send you two pictures. One is right when he falls asleep,
Oh.
and like my hand is just coming off of him.
Yeah, I definitely have to see that. I might put it in this video.
And then the next picture is he finally just fell down.
Oh, he's so cute! Oh my God! All right, cool. Well, you ready to do this?
As ready as I could ever be.
As ready as I am. Okay. All right. And there's my investment at work. This is Alyssa Knight. How you doing? I have Mr. Christopher Daniels here with us. He is the Senior Security Specialist for Nebraska Methodist Health System. So Chris, you're back on the show. You were on our live stream with Elastic, and now it's been, I wanted to do kind of like a before and after, where in that show you had just installed Elastic. Now you've been in it, 30 plus days now?
Right about 30.
Yeah, about 30 days. So I wanted our audience to get the perspective from someone that had never really touched Elastic before, to go from that to just have a follow-up with you. And, we'll title this, Chris Daniels 30 Days Later. And, I would love actually, before we do that, why don't you tell our audience about yourself? Because I don't know if you got much airtime in the last show. Tell everyone who you are and what you do, and tell them about your new dog.
I just adopted a new dog. His name is Sam, a yellow lab mix. He's 2 years old and is absolutely adorable. He's really the greatest dog. Like, they told us he was going to be really barky and all this, and he hasn't barked for me at all, not once. He barked with my wife once when she was taking him for a walk.
What's his name? What's his name?
Sam.
Dog.
Sam the dog. And that has made my life absolutely hectic, but it's been a lot of fun. He's great. We're getting a fence halfway installed today and finished installed tomorrow, so we can actually let him out in the yard.
That would be a good thing. Yeah. Dog kind of need to get out.
Oh, he does. We run him twice a day. So I run him in the mornings and she runs him in the evenings.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. I'm sure. How old is Sam?
2.
Oh yeah. Full of energy.
I started doing network security in 2010, 10 years ago.
Okay. You're 10 years old, decade old.
Yeah.
No, in security, they say it's dog years.
Yeah. I started at the Strategic Command, the U.S. Strategic Command here at Offutt Air Force Base.
Oh, you're a vet.
Yes.
Oh, thanks for your service, Mr. Daniels.
Thank you. I actually didn't do that as an active duty person. When I was active duty.
What was when you were active duty?
I was, we call it an AFSC, but I was Air Force. I was a 2T2, and we loaded airplanes, did all the air transportation, logistics, passengers, all that stuff.
Sweet.
I got out, used that GI Bill to its fullest every last time.
Good.
Put myself through school, and the Air Force had a program to bring you in as a civilian and teach you how to do whatever they needed the most. And they needed IT guys. And I said, well, I can do computer stuff. Yeah. And next thing I know, I got thrown into network defense. It was kind of pure luck. I had done sysadmin stuff up to that point.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
And they threw me in this 3-year training program, and I got to go to the Air Force's undergrad cyber training class. It was 6 months in Keesler. That's where they send all their officers that do the defensive and offensive warfare stuff. So I got to learn a lot of really cool stuff. And I went.
Yeah. Well, the Air Force has a pretty strong cyber capability, so.
They do. But I think the thing I learned the most from was the people I worked with here at Offutt. The crew we had was just amazing, and they're all out in industry now, working around this area. And so a lot of their names are out there, and I learned a lot from those guys. They were amazing, absolutely phenomenal people. And I did 6 years at the Strategic Command, and then decided the same thing of, okay, all my friends left for regular jobs. I'm going to go find one too.
So that's what's also referred to as U.S. Stratcom, right?
That is correct. U.S. Stratcom.
Got it. Okay.
They were actually in charge of the Cyber Command up until I think 2 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So now they're their own command. That was pretty cool. If you don't know what Stratcom does, we're responsible for all the nuclear weapons that we have, which is.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
I knew it had something to do with, strategery.
It's all strategery, super strategery.
It's amazing.
In a single word, the best argument for his candidacy. Governor Bush?
Strategery.
So you put in your time there?
Put in my time there. I was the network defense ops chief when I left. I went to go teach for a couple years at UNO. Worked on my master's there. Didn't finish it yet. Like 2 classes away.
Don't give up.
Yeah, and then did a couple more jobs until I landed into this the Methodist Hospital right at the start of a pandemic, which was awesome. Perfect timing. Here's the funny part of this story. The job I was working before the Methodist Hospital, I had to work from home. It was all remote. And my wife was like, "Are you going to be okay going back to work in an office?" And I was like, I'm going to be really excited to be around people again. 3 weeks into it, everybody go home. So I've been working from home ever since.
For Chris.
I was like, great. No, just by myself in the basement again.
Life is what happens while you're planning other things,
That's exactly right. So I went and got a dog.
Amazing.
So that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. Well, okay. So talk to us about Elastic. So for our audience, tell our audience what the hell Elastic is. We have that whole debate over, is Elastic a SIEM? We answered that, I think, in the last episode. So if you're interested in checking out that debate, everybody go check out that episode. But Chris, talk to our audience about what Elastic is and what has Elastic been like for you? Just the implementation to figuring out how to do things, figuring out how to point stuff at it, figuring out how to actually synthesize, analyze, do like your work. Like, what's your workflow? Just tell us everything. Like, let's nerd out on Elastic.
Yeah. So when I started with Elastic, when you did your blog, it was your article about the death of the SIEM.
Right.
That's how I came to know you. I was like, I'm seeing the same thing because I'd been a QRadar engineer for a while.
So you agreed with me. You weren't one of those trolls that was like, "Oh, she's just glamour." So you'd believe that the SIEM is on a very short, like it's what do you call that when you're like hooked up to the machine?
On life support.
Life support, yeah. Like SIEM is on life support.
Yeah, they're not able to. They're a limitation to security, not an enabler of it now.
Right.
So, and the limitation is the cost.
Yeah.
If you want to do any of the compliance stuff that you have to do, almost in any industry, GLBA, PCI, HIPAA, all of those require that you first, and the smallest thing that you would think of, retain your logs, ingest and you retain your logs somewhere. That's your information.
Right.
SIEMs charge you to keep that information, to ingest that information. So I found that to be utterly ridiculous. I was like,
yeah. So it's like, okay, this is why we bought it, but now we have to make decisions on what we send to it because we can't afford it. We can't afford to send everything that we need to send. So now we have to turn other departments away. We have to turn certain systems away. To me, it's self-defeating, right? It's ridiculous.
It is completely ridiculous, and it's a ridiculous. Their sizing model and their pricing model is just crazy.
And now, and you're talking about QRadar right now. When I originally started doing this research, I was thinking, oh, it's just Splunk that does that. Just Splunk that charges for an enormous cost for ingest. But it's multiple SIEM vendors are guilty of this.
Logarithm.
I don't know. Once upon a time, ArcSight. I don't know if HP has changed that pricing model, but or what model they're on. But yeah, it's not just Splunk that's notorious for this.
I'll give you an example. I have my own little LLC. I don't really do a whole lot with it, but I was like thinking, maybe if I stood up a SIEM, I could help out some of the small businesses around Omaha.
Right.
I have my own rack servers and my own business connection to my house. Maybe I could just help them out, collect logs for them, help them be compliant.
Small business MSSP kind of thing.
Yeah, and nothing like, hey, I'm going to keep you completely safe. Hey, I'm going to help you with some minimum compliance and some best practices. Something that they just can't afford to go through a big company.
Sure.
And I was looking around, and I said, I got a quote from QRadar, and for $6,000 a year just for the licensing, it would give me 100 events per second, which I can chew up with my lab here in my house.
Sure. Yeah.
And I was like,
for how much per year?
$6,000 per year.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't want to tell you what the last company I was working for that was using QRadar was paying for it. It was.
I'm sure I'm assuming QRadar isn't cheap.
It's not cheap. Let me put this on. It is a great product. What it does well. There's a reason it's at the top of the Gartner chart all the time. However, it's expensive, and a lot small companies can't afford that.
Why make trillions when we could make billions?
A trillion is more than a billion, numbnuts.
Right.
These small businesses that are trying to break in can't afford that.
Right.
Should probably silence my phone.
I was about to say, we heard that. Okay, sorry.
Let's see what it was. Oh, my wife's sending me fence.
I was about to say, if it's your wife, you should probably answer.
She's sending me fence ideas.
Okay.
So I was looking for an alternative to that, and starting with the place I'm working at now, we have that same limited budget that everybody has, and we're a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And one of the first things I asked.
Wait, now, where are you working at now?
Nebraska Methodist Medical System.
Right. Okay. And so they're a nonprofit, and so they keep a really tight control over costs, obviously.
Absolutely. We have the Women's Hospital, the Children's Hospital in Omaha. We have a new hospital we just got up in Fremont, and several clinics, and a college. And one of the first things I asked was, "All right, guys, where's my logs? My main thing is I'm a intrusion detection analyst.
Yeah.
That's what I have my SAN cert in. Yeah. What's that?
I need visibility.
Yeah, I want to see everything.
Yeah.
And I got hit with that. Well, we can't get these logs because we can't afford to put them in the SIEM.
Oh my God. So what were they sending? What were they sending initially? Like, what could they afford to send? Like web server logs or something?
Web server, domain controller logs, things like that.
Wow.
And I think the firewall logs, which I was happy about.
Right.
But I went straight to the endpoint. I was like, let me see the endpoints. And they're like, no, we don't have that. I was like, all right, now I'm freaking out. I said, how can I do this where if nothing else, I can at least ingest them and search them?
Sure.
And then I had read your article, and I was like, wow, this is going right along with what I'm doing. And I found Elastic, and I started trying to use Elastic, and I heard a lot of my friends talk about it in the past. And I was like, oh, I'll look at it eventually. And I couldn't get it at first. Like at first it wasn't working. Of course, I was trying to do it on a Windows platform. I've had
just kidding.
No, you're not wrong.
We are not ambassadors on this show. Just kidding.
There's a reason it's got a huge market share.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't get it to work at first. The documentation wasn't the easiest to follow.
For Elastic.
Yeah. And it was how and they're getting better. It was how they had it organized on the website.
And just for everyone's edification, Elastic has both a free software download, like that's under the GPL license or something, and
the Apache 2.
Yeah, Apache 2, and a commercial version.
Correct. And one of the things I wanted to make sure I was doing, and this is where it caught me off a little bit too, is I wanted to make sure I was downloading the Apache only version.
Sure.
You got to kind of look to make sure you're doing that, or else you will get the full version.
Oh, wow.
So you'll see that there's those tools where you won't be able to use them. However, I did talk to some Elastic engineers since our last talk.
Okay.
And they have a much different pricing model if you wanted to use some of their enterprise features.
Okay, so you're saying that they're not actually like the others where they charge for ingest?
Yeah, they charge more for a sizing. Of course, I don't remember it right now off the top of my head, but I know it was completely different, and it was
affordable for an organization like yours, right?
Yeah, and they're getting me quotes right now. But the one thing I learned that I was really happy about was it's much better on Ubuntu than on Linux, than on Windows. So I was super happy.
When you say much better, you mean like for performance reasons, or like what do you mean better? Like easier to use?
Ease of use, performance, it's also better, and support.
Oh, interesting.
They actively support the Linux distribution.
Okay. So Windows was more of like to scratch an itch, but it really is.
It's built for Linux.
On Linux. Okay, got it.
Everything you need that it can do, it does it on Linux without a problem.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So, and after I went through it, got all my notes, went through it again, I tore down my whole stack one day at work because I realized, all right, I need to do this differently and actually do naming conventions, the whole deal.
Right.
Brought it back up with Linux, had it with domain names, config files, everything in an hour and a half, had it running.
In an hour and a half, you had a full enterprise deployment at the healthcare center with the open source version.
The open source version.
And that now, does that mean like, so the server was up and running, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's an agent server architecture. So you have, is it an agent server architecture, or you have collectors, or how's it work?
It does do that, but it also, there is ways around putting agents on everything. We have a lot of endpoints, and I didn't want to deal with agents on each endpoint. So I had to do some Windows magic, which was, there's a little known built-in thing in Windows where you can forward your logs from a Windows service called Windows Event Forwarding and create a collector called a Windows Event Collector. And you can do all this through group policy and Active Directory domain.
Oh, you're kidding. I remember once upon a time, this I'm going to date myself for a minute here. I had to install Snare on Windows to get Windows Event Logs too.
Yep. It's all built into the OS now.
So what happened to Snare? Does Snare still exist? You know?
Snare does still exist, but I think they're using it mostly for Mac.
Oh, wow. Okay. So Microsoft just came along and said, we're just going to do this natively in Windows.
Yep. So it does it natively in Windows. You create the subscription natively, and I can even show you how I did it. The GPO I used to.
Oh, that's amazing. We should like publish this video for sure.
Yeah. Because it was a little tricky, and there were some different forums and sites I had to go on to figure out the small things to get it to work. But once I got it to work, applied a GPO, applied that to all of the OUs within Active Directory that I wanted it, and boom, I had all the logs I wanted.
So at least for the AD logging portion of what the healthcare, we'll call it the healthcare company, because I cannot remember that name. It's Methodist. Very long. Okay, Methodist.
We just call it Methodist.
All right, Methodist. So you were able to recreate what they were currently paying a lot of money for, at least on the AD logging side of QRadar. You were able to do for free with Elastic.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Well, we don't use QRadar there, but yes.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said QRadar.
In my past, I was a QRadar engineer.
Got it. Okay. But you implement. So you came into Methodist, and they're like, we don't have anything. And you're like, let's create something. And exactly. So you downloaded Elastic for free and did this in an hour and a half. Wow. What would you say was the most complicated part of setting up Elastic?
Um, really, the learning how the config files work.
Okay.
All of the different features of Elastic. So you have the Elastic Stack. You have Elastic, which is the search itself. You don't really access that directly. Then you have Logstash, which I'm still working on.
I was about to say, I think in our last episode we talked about that Logstash was really the most complex part.
Right, and that's what I was working on this weekend, actually, because it's the configuration file once again, because you have to tell it what its input, what you're doing to that input, and what the output to Elastic is with it, and that's where it gets a little complex.
So I'm assuming there's some people that have published like some sample Logstash configs out there that you're copying and rinsing and reusing.
Yes, and it's actually, I'm using Elastic's documentation. Their documentation is really getting better.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I think there were some comments at in the last episode that the documentation could be a lot better. So you've actually seen an improvement.
Yeah, and I think the hardest part was finding it. Getting it to direct you to that documentation on the website. That was my hardest issue.
Okay.
Once I finally knew where that stuff was, I could get to it quick. But it's not easy to get to from the front page. It just seems like it's trying to get you. And this would be my note to Elastic. When I first got on the page and I was trying to download Elastic, I couldn't.
Uh-oh. That sounds like the new adopted child.
Yep. I couldn't get Elastic to download. It didn't look like.
Sam wants to be part of the show.
Sam, come here.
To our audience, Sam. Everyone's got to see Sam. This is you guys. This is the cutest dog in the world. Oh, he's so cute. Oh my God.
His tail is like a whip. It'll hurt.
Oh, I bet. Oh, okay.
All right. I thought it wasn't open source anymore. The way it looked like it only sent you to an enterprise version. And I even sent it to one of my good friends, Matt Trummer, who's an amazing security guy. He works down in Lincoln, Nebraska. He and I worked at Stratcom together, and now he does it for the Air National Guard as well. And I sent him the link, and I was like, dude, I thought you said this was open source. Here I am wasting my time, and this is all enterprise. And it is open source, but it was hard to find that part of the feature.
Oh, man. Okay, so, yeah, if you're listening, we need to work on the UX, the user experience on the website.
Yeah, I understand they're pushing the enterprise version because that's their business part of it.
Yeah, how they keep the lights on.
But you got to still show that, hey, we are open source. We are free.
Embrace that community.
Because that's where a lot of the power is built off of.
Wow, so was that hard to find the free download, huh? Or the free version?
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
I'm surprised that it wouldn't be the same installer. Like, you would think that they would just distribute one installer, and when you want the enterprise features, you just click on it and it turns it on and asks you for license key information or something.
They try to send you to the deploy this quickly on our cloud and use that free for 14 days.
The software as a service, the SaaS model.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's what it's pushed to, which is cool. Yeah. But I didn't want to use a cloud because I knew I was never going to pay for a service.
Yeah.
And I really just
cool for some, not cool for others.
Yeah.
That could be annoying. I mean, especially you're just quickly trying to go grab the free version. It's like, just give me the free version.
Yeah. And once I show the value, then I can talk my my superiors into, hey, let's get some of the other machine learning parts of this and pay Elastic for this stuff.
Exactly. So Kibana. Let's talk about Kibana for a minute. So Kibana is the GUI, right? So that's Kibana, that's your analyst console, if you will.
Yeah. So that's where you actually get in, look at things, do your searches. Elastic does a lot more than the security stuff I'm asking it to do.
Oh, interesting.
So it can tell you how your apps, if you're an app developer, it can tell you how your apps are performing. It can tell you how your endpoints are performing.
You're kidding. So it actually it provides performance metrics.
Yes. And this was something I got today, and I'm still trying to find it so I can show it to you on the screen because I saw it earlier today where it was showing me what my bandwidth in and out, my...
Oh my God. So it's not just log analysis. It's giving you everything, the stuff you would probably use Nodus or something for.
Yeah. You want to see this? I can throw
share your screen. Yeah, show our audience. Yeah, if there's nothing sensitive there that you can show.
Oh, this is my home lab. So.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, look at that, everyone. Oh, goodness.
So this is the first Windows machine that I got it to pull what they call metric beat. It's part of their, remember they talked about beats as one of their,
right. So this is called metric beat?
Right. So they have a file beat, they have a WinLog beat, and they have a metric beat.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it's an agent. I put it on the system. It tells me what my CPU usage is.
Would you say that this really puts takes some market share away from like Bro, stuff like that, like Bro system monitoring and
it could
level of stuff? Wow.
I mean, it's free.
Yeah.
And it's already telling me all this. So like, here's my in and out for this machine.
God, look at that.
If I thought this machine was doing something bad, I would know pretty quick. I could go right here and say, all right, let's analyze everything that happened at that time frame.
Oh my God.
My memory usage.
I might have to install this at home.
Yeah, they actually do a containerized version on Docker and Kubernetes as well. I haven't used it. It tells me my kernel version. It tells me all that information. I was just like, this is amazing.
I'm a prosumer. So like at home, I actually use Ubiquiti Wi-Fi, Unify Ubiquiti wireless access points. And I have the Ubiquiti firewall. I have the Ubiquiti power over Ethernet switches. I bet I could afford all that stuff at an Elk Stack install.
I'm working on pulling in my pfSense right now.
Oh, look at you. Yeah, so you're a prosumer too. See, I can't, I'm sorry, I just can't use something like Netgear or Linksys at my home. Like I have to, no, sorry, that's not going to happen. That was like circa Alyssa Knight, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Not now. I just
take a look at my video real quick.
Oh, wow.
That's the dog sleeping beside me.
Yeah. Oh, damn. Is he a snorer? Does he snore?
A little bit. My wife says he and I snore about the same. So.
Oh, yeah. No, this is really interesting. I mean, as you definitely add to your Elk implementation, definitely have to give us some updates. That's amazing. Oh, we lost your audio. I think you accidentally muted yourself. There you go.
Okay. I hit the mic. My wife just walked downstairs and gave me my sunglasses.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you can do the whole like Neo thing, What is
my wallet, which I've had lost for the last 2 days. So she just.
Oh, I bet is that sigh of relief? Like, oh my God, I found my wallet.
Yeah. So I was really excited.
No, this is really cool. So this is the Kibana interface.
This is the Kibana interface, and Kibana is what actually reaches into Elastic and does your searches.
Do you want to walk through a little bit of Kibana for everybody and just kind of show the log view and show kind of like your workflow so far?
Absolutely. This one is not as beefed up as the one I have at work because I've done more work on that one.
Okay.
But I do have some stuff done with this. Now this is running. I'm going to pull this off just so I can show you. So you see my
like a portion of the screen.
Oh, why did it stop? Resume the sharing.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? It's only sharing.
Oh, there we go.
The web page.
Yeah, there we go.
I want to share the whole
screen.
Now we should be seeing. Okay.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so you're running all this within VMware. Okay.
Yeah, so in my lab, I'm running vSphere. So
okay.
I have my own cluster. Okay. So I have this Ubuntu machine right here. And this is where it's running.
Okay.
But you can, once you have it configured, you can access it from any.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you can just hit it
any browser.
Workstation. Yeah.
Right. That was probably one of my hardest things to figure out. And if you have good DNS, you have at the office, we have a team that does our DNS. I was able to do this with a fully qualified domain name for internal. So it was super easy because the network there is in better shape than mine at home at the moment. Yeah, so that's how I got to that. There's all these different visualizations that you can set up. As you can see, I have like the metric beat here for API server, which I thought you would want to hear about. that this can do some analysis of API servers. I haven't done any with it.
Oh, that's really cool.
And it has its own APIs, which I haven't played with yet either. Down here is where you actually look at all the different parts and pieces. You can create your own dashboards. This is the main one that I had used. You can make it a favorite, so it's the one that pops up, but this is all your Windows log events. And it'll tell you what the most count is for that specific event ID. You can always go look it up what they are.
Interesting. So now, okay, so you can obviously call logs into Elk, but are there any like security rules that will say, hey, look, this typically looks like something bad, like, I don't know, buffer overflow or something like that? I mean,
So
what you would typically with the intrusion detection system signatures.
I haven't gotten to that part yet.
Okay.
Because they do have it in some of the paid versions, and I'll show you that here. So this is their SIM page.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So this is what you get when you pay for the commercial version.
No.
Oh, this is not. So you actually get this with the free version.
You get this with the free version. What you don't get in this one is some of the, they call it signals, and those are the alerts that you were talking about.
Okay.
But there are some that come in the free. I haven't gotten them working yet.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, when you get that working, let's definitely talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. User authentication, 1700, one fail. Okay. So you could look for brute force attempts.
You can look for all of that.
Okay.
And you can do that in here through these searches.
Oh, sweet.
So let me.
And for the people that don't know so you came into this brand new, you didn't know what the search syntax was. Did you find it pretty easy to learn it?
Yeah, because it brings a lot of it up like this for you.
Yeah. Kind of teaches you along the way.
And if you can't find exactly what you're looking for, I found an easy way to do it. Let's see. Let's go into.
I mean, like a wizard or something?
Almost. Find an event that you want. So down here, it'll tell you your authentications, your uncommon processes, which is kind of cool if you have any. It'll let you know what's there.
Oh, that's interesting.
This can also pull in sysmon information.
Uncommon processes like a mysterious binary that's running on.
Yes.
Shouldn't it be? Oh, trippy. So
that's
actually help you find malware too.
Yes. So God, I had a lot of tokens were adjusted on mine. Okay, account was logged off. Let's use that. I can actually look at the log event.
Wow.
And then let's say I wanted to search for a specific event ID, find the event ID, and that will give you WinLog event ID, and it'll tell you to do equals, it's a colon. And I'm going to do one that I'm pretty sure I don't have any of, but so 4740 is account lockouts.
Okay, it's official. Elk is going live at my house.
Yeah, so and you can do all these, if you know a specific event ID that you need to look up, you can do that with this and be like, all right, I need to see if anybody's done this. I need to see if anybody's done that. And then make sure you have your audit logging turned on all your machines, which I did through GPO to make sure it's sending all the logs you need. You have enough storage on your Elk machine, on your Ubuntu to hold those logs. And two of my next three things are the performance testing with how much the storage takes, but Ubuntu or Elastic has a setup for you to have hot and cold storage, or hot and warm storage and cold storage.
Kidding. So you mean you can set those thresholds for data retention times?
For data retention, so I'm going to set up 2 more instances, and I'll have a cluster, and one will be warm, and the difference is how much power you need for each. So for the stuff that you want searched fast, for I think they said it was every 30 gigs of storage, you need a gig of RAM. So like this one I have 32 gigs of RAM on it, but for a warm storage, it's 1 to 100.
Okay. And this is published in the manual?
I know they have documentation out there about it, but not specifically that.
Okay.
because that was one of the questions I had for them about sizing, et cetera.
Right. So 1-to-1 on the hot. So for every gig is
1 to 30.
1 to 30. Okay.
And then 1 to 100 on your warm.
Okay.
So you can store a lot more longer on your warm. And then it has a snapshot. And this is all the open source stuff. This isn't any of the enterprise stuff. Then they have a snapshot and restore where you can snapshot it to a cold storage cluster and keep it there for as long as you need.
Oh,
So just make sure you have the size of a hard drive to store it.
Sure, of course. Wow, holy cow!
So for
I haven't
compliance,
seen you have a NAS in your house.
it's not set up at the moment, but I do have one. I need to get
sending your cold storage there, I assume, eventually.
Yeah, that's what for my house. That's what I'll eventually do once I get my pfSense logs in here too.
That's cool. This is tight.
I use Netgate for mine. Have you seen those Netgate?
Oh,
Yeah,
so you're talking about for a NAS?
No, for a firewall. I use the
firewall.
Netgate SG3100, and it's a hardware device, but it comes with pfSense on it.
Oh, okay. So it's an appliance with open source stuff on it.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's only like $300 too, $400. It was amazing.
Yeah, I'm a Ubiquity girl. What can I say? But I'll have to check it out. I'll have to Google it and check it out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
This is neat. So so definitely, two thumbs up, one thumb up, thumb down. Yeah. You still have a lot more to learn, right?
I have a lot more to learn, but for what I wanted in the very beginning of, at a minimum, I need to ingest my logs.
Yeah.
And I need to be able to search them.
Right.
I'm not, at this point, I'd rather have that capability so that I could do forensic analysis or go back and say, hey, this is what happened. This is what went wrong. And at work, I've already implemented it for, thank you.
That might annoy them. Yeah.
At work, I've already implemented it for the account lockouts so that they can quickly figure out who's been locked out and why. So we can look it up to figure out what's locking them out.
Troubleshooting like user issues like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can do that troubleshooting. We can get that stuff taken care of. And that's just with what I've got so far. And I'm only pulling in, I think, 100 systems logs at the now. I have to go through the change board or cab, of course. So I can say, hey, can I push this GPO out to everyone and start yanking in every log that we got?
So what's the path forward at this point at Methodist on the Elk implementation? Do you think you're going to be going with the commercial, adding in the commercial stuff? Or?
Well, I have to get it into the to the budget cycle.
Right.
I almost lost that word.
Budget approval. Yeah.
So I have to get it into the budget cycle, but I'm hoping that I can get the POC completed before the end of summer to show the value, not just for the security team, but for our service desk, the operators. Hey, if you need to know where this is, go in Elastic, do this search. It'll tell you this is what caused it, or this is having a problem.
Can you pull in network telemetry into Elk as well? Like, can you point, switch logs and stuff like that at it?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's what I'm working on right now with my pfSense.
Oh, wow.
Let me see if I can pull up the page for you real quick.
Okay, that'd be amazing. Yeah, I'm a packet monkey. I love network telemetry data.
I love that too. And that was one of the things I was like, all right, I want my firewall logs, and I want my NetFlow in there.
NetFlow data.
Of course, I just clicked the wrong thing. And that was what I was working on a little earlier today, was getting MaxMind to pull that in for the geo. It does the geo IPs.
Right.
Let's see here. Here's the discussion. And I think they have, no, I should have had this part ready for you. Sorry.
No, it's okay. You're fine. I surprised you with it.
Well, it's just funny because I was looking at it earlier and they had this really cool picture. And as soon as I saw the picture, it was, well, here, I'll share my screen with you again real quick because it's in the Elastic Stack already, but it's not going to be populated with data because I don't have that data pulled in yet. But by the end of tonight, I'm going to have it. they have a maps feature. And when you get your network telemetry pulled in here, it was probably one of the coolest maps that I'd seen yet like this. It would,
holy cow.
It would have, so mine would be right in the middle, right here in the United States, 'cause I'm in Omaha, and it would show every connection to every country, and you could click on it and dig down to see who's coming from where and who's doing what.
Oh, that is so cool.
For a small lab like mine, that's going to be amazing. I'll see anything.
Yeah. I mean, especially like, you can find out, hey, is your wife's machine, does it have spyware on it or malware? Do one of your kids have, malware on their machine?
Yep.
Yeah, that's really cool. And this isn't that you don't have to pay for this. It's this particular part is part of the free version.
Yep.
It's amazing. Oh yeah, I'll definitely have to implement this at home. This is cool.
So this is what I looked up, and there's this group here has already done it.
Okay.
So I'm going through their stuff, but like here's part of the picture. I'm not going to pull up that video, but you can see that map probably real small right there.
Oh yeah, that is very cool.
It's populated everywhere. Yeah, it looks really cool, and even Netgate, and that's who I used for my my firewall. It's not Netgear. Just making sure you know that. It's Netgate. It's completely different.
Netgear. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really really cool. That's the other thing I'm working on is getting that network telemetry in there. For work, it's finishing the POC, showing the value, showing how I can operationalize it with support teams, not just my team. I want to show that the network team has already gotten a look at it, and they're pretty happy with what it can do. Just on the free side of stuff. Once I get that sold, and I'm working with a rep from Elastic, they're helping me out with any issues I might have getting that going. Then I want to get some of that paid stuff and get it going too.
Add some of that sexy paid access stuff to it. Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's amazing. I'm really glad you checked back in with us 30 days later. I mean, it sounds like you're happy with your decision. It was relatively easy to implement. It's getting more exciting as you add more, data to its system and network telemetry data to it. It's just going to start getting cooler and cooler.
Yeah. It looks really cool. Once you get your head around the basics, learning how to edit the configuration files. After you get that down, that's where I think I got hung up at first. When I was installing it on Windows, you're looking for a GUI to do stuff with. Once I installed it on Linux, which I love,
it made sense.
It all made more sense. I was like, all right, show me where this. They use something called a YAML file, YML file.
Yeah, YAML. Yeah.
Yeah. So once I just knew where all the YAML files were, I went in there, made my configs, made a basic. For every file beat or metric beat or whatever, I know I need this block in there because this tells it where my stack is with the passwords or the API keys to get in, and just make that part of every single configuration file. And bam, I was up and running really fast.
That's amazing. Yeah. So that's interesting. Yeah, I want to continue to follow your journey. So we'll do another show in another 30 days where you can talk about, what the experience has been like in your Elk ecosystem with the network telemetry data added and how it continued to evolve in the enterprise. I think this will be a neat little mini series of the Chris Daniels show of 30 days later. That's awesome. What would be the biggest advice you could offer anyone who's going to be embarking on this for the first time, embarking on Elk for the first time? What advice could you offer?
First, if you're not a Linux person, become a Linux person.
Yeah.
Download one of the LTS Ubuntu's and make sure you got a long-term service for those and use that. That is what they're supporting the most, and it really is super easy. Once you add the repositories, it's all apt get install, bam, and brings it in. And then learn if you don't have a favorite text editor in Linux, learn one quick.
At least at the very minimum, Pico.
Yeah, Pico, Nano, VI. VI is more difficult, but if you know how to use it, it's great. Learn those to get around quick. And this is one I haven't seen a lot of Linux people use. Learn the update DB command in Linux.
Oh yeah. Update that locate database.
Update that locate database and use sudo when you're doing it, and then locate to find your YAML files, because some things put them in a weird spot. And use sudo when you do that locate. The Elasticsearch one puts it in a protected folder where if you just do locate elasticsearch.yaml, it won't find it.
Oh, that's great advice. Yeah.
So that was one of my first frustrations. Then I was like, wait a minute, let me try sudo. And I sudoed it, and I was like, that's where it's at.
Okay, that's the gotcha. So what about Logstash? Is it just kind of prep yourselves for Logstash and spending a majority of your time in that config file?
For Logstash, read about the implementation before you start it. Okay. So that when I first tried it, I just installed it and was like, okay, where's the config? And I was like, okay, this is taking longer and longer. And I was like, all right, you know what, stop. I undid it. And I've read through everything now, and I'm like, okay, I know where I think a few gotchas are, and I'm trying to do the initials. That's actually where I'm at on getting my network telemetry. Those people that did the pfSense and ELK stuff, they have it coming through Logstash. And what Logstash does is it'll parse and do different analysis on your logs, and then it'll send it to Elasticsearch.
Okay.
So that you can change, you won't change the logs, but you'll change how they're either indexed or the way they're looked at, so you can do it the super fast searches in Elastic.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's really cool.
I think I can speak for the audience, and the fact this has been very valuable. Just getting this sort of feedback from someone who's never touched Elastic before, and is 30 days in, and we can just kind of track your progress and live in life, the day in life of Chris Daniels and his new ELK implementation, both in the enterprise and at home. So it's a really unique perspective that you're offering. So I think I can definitely speak for them and saying, thank you for providing this feedback and being on the show today, and we'll continue to have you on the show to, another 30 days to check up on you and see how that's gone.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I'll get all my notes together because they're kind of spread out at the moment, and I'll send them to you so we can look at, hey, if you are a new user on this and you're using Linux, here's the quick and dirty way to get you started. Here's a script that'll get you up and running right away.
Yeah, that's amazing. That'd be great. Yeah, any resources and help I think we can provide our audience on this and implementing it for the first time without having to trip over the same rocks you tripped on. I think valuable for them. So thanks, Aaron. Chris, you take care and stay safe.
You too. Thank you so much. I hope you feel good too.
Thank you.